business is a careful balance, an alchemy between two types of risk. The risk of losing money and the risk of not making money. So I'm going to break this down in how it applies to a TCG business. By simply being alive, your risk of losing money is 100%. You are going to lose money just by being alive. Your goal in business, and I mean in a career in general, is to offset that risk of losing money, that guarantee, that certainty of losing money just by existing, with the possibility to make money, which means that you build knowledge, skills, and opportunities for yourself that decrease your risk each day of not making money. I call this building income anti-fragility. Setting yourself up with opportunities and possibilities to make money any day in many ways. How you do this in a TCG business specifically is you kind of examine what are the possibilities to generate revenue in TCGs. Of course, the first one that comes to mind is selling trading cards. You can sell singles on marketplaces. You can sell sealed on marketplaces. You can sell singles and sealed on your own website. You can build a brand and monetize on YouTube. You can get sponsorships from content. You can be a vendor. I used to actually know a guy who made a living winning Magic the Gathering tournaments. So, I mean, there are a number of ways that you can decrease your risk of not making money by acquiring skills, knowledge, and inventory for your trading card business that you can take to a marketplace in exchange for revenue. Now, of course, how you go about acquiring these things is going to expose you to an equal and opposite risk of losing money. And so these are the things you have to balance. So let's talk about like building a store on TCGplayer. If you want to move a lot of cards on TCGplayer, it's going to be in your best interest to build a wide variety of desirable cards, because that allows the card optimizer to work in your favor, and that gives you a wide spread of listings where then the marketplace fee functionally works like paid advertising, but the benefit compared to traditional paid advertising is that you only pay for the paid advertising of the marketplace when you actually make a sale. So it offsets that risk and puts it onto the actual marketplace, takes it away from you. You only pay when you make a sale. So you can construct your pricing strategy and your listing and inventory strategy to make sure that overall the amount of money that you keep from all of your orders is above the amount of money that you lose here and there on cheap orders or shipping or things like that. But as you amass inventory, every piece of inventory that you amass carries in and of itself a risk of losing money, and that would be if it does not sell or if you end up selling it at a loss. And so the way that you manage this side of the risk equation is you carefully construct your pricing strategy, very strategically set your prices in such a way to incentivize multiple buys, to offset the pricing, the shipping and fees that you have to pay on the marketplace. That means in most cases setting a floor price and selling, especially with low-priced cards, a little bit above market price. Those two things, set a floor price of 15, 20 cents and sell maybe 10% above market for anything under $30. Those two rules alone are going to pretty much keep you in a profitable space. This is assuming that you're selling on TCGplayer and you are a level 4 seller. You got to grind to get level 4 seller. So, you probably should be willing to sell some stuff at a loss initially just to close your first couple sales, because it's basically an investment in the possibility to make more money as a level 4 seller. And so the other thing to consider when you are building your inventory is that every piece of inventory, again, carries some of that risk. And so as you carry more and more duplicates, you have to balance the risk of adding 30 more prismatic evolutions, buddy poffins, as opposed to going out of your way to acquire something that you have low stock in, like 151 or Paldea Evolved or something like that. Once you have a lot of inventory in a certain card or a certain set, adding more of that specific piece of inventory is going to have a greater risk of losing money compared to adding inventory that you either don't have any of or that you have a low stock in. And the law of large numbers and of mass assortments, it will start to work in your favor as you list a wider variety of items and a larger quantity of specific items. These are the things you want to keep in mind. You want to have a broad assortment and you want to have a lot of stock, but you want to balance that against the time that you're going to lose, because you're guaranteed to lose time listing, and there's always a chance that some stuff's going to sit for quite a while. And if you're not inclined to sit on stock for weeks or maybe even months at a time, then you may want to adjust your strategy a little bit, change your marketplace, change how you do your pricing. There are many ways to sell. You can sell on Facebook Marketplace in bulk lots, you can start an eBay store, many different ways that you can go about it. But the key thing to keep in mind, again, is just those two types of risk. You want to balance them against each other, the risk of losing money and the risk of not making money. You want to carry inventory, and you want to make sure that the inventory that you have gets listed. So if you go out and you buy a bunch of bulk or a bunch of collections and then it just sits on your shelf because you don't want to put the work in to list it, your risk of losing money on that investment is, again, 100%, because you cannot sell what you have not listed. And so if listing every single card feels like too much work for you, then find a way to build bulk lots and sling them on Facebook Marketplace. That reduces your risk of losing money on the investment, and it decreases your risk of not making money, because then you also have the stuff listed so that people can browse it and shop it and eventually make a purchase. In addition to all this, brand is going to be an asset that reduces your risk of not making money, and it will also reduce your risk of losing money, because as you build brand recognition, which you can do through a combination of creating content and also just delivering an exceptional experience with everything that you ship out and sell. And so one of the ways that you can build a strong brand is to create an exceptional customer experience. And what I have found from just doing market research by buying from a lot of other sellers on TCGplayer and other marketplaces and Facebook Marketplace and stuff, the buying experience on a lot of these platforms is not great. Like, I'll order cards on TCGplayer and they'll be shipped to me. I've had orders held together by torn up stickers and Scotch tape, with no team bags, no anything like that. I ended up damaging some of the cards trying to open the package and trying to get them out of the sleeves that they were stuffed into and everything. I frequently get orders without the packing slip included, which then makes me have to go log into TCGplayer, pull up my old orders, and then match and count that way instead of being able to match it to the invoice. I, every once in a while, get stuff that is like way off with its conditioning. Like, I order near mint and it comes in like moderately played or like really on the bottom edge of lightly played, and it's like, come on, list stuff at the right condition. And with each of these people, I personally end up saving these people to a do not buy list, and I always kind of check my bookmarks tab of people that I don't want to buy from in the future, and so it ends up damaging their brand. And so the main thing that you can do is just deliver an exceptional customer experience. And of course, you also can create content. Content is another way that you can build a brand and strengthen your presence in the marketplace so that more of the inventory that you have is going to be more likely to sell. Then you can more confidently take on more risk by carrying more inventory, because it's less likely that you're going to end up just sitting on that inventory or having to sell it at a loss. Somebody eventually is probably going to buy it from you. In the event that there is an issue of some kind, an order doesn't get delivered, something gets damaged, I have always found across every retail and e-commerce venture that I have done that I make more money by being very liberal with refunds. If there's any issue with an order, any problem, I will almost always choose to refund or pay for the return shipping, something along those lines. Take care of the problem, because problems with honest customers, problems are opportunities to build a better relationship and get more good reviews and build a stronger reputation. So to a certain extent, you want to have honest problems with honest customers every once in a while, because those create opportunities for you to build a stronger business. Now, there also are going to be times where somebody is going to scam you. Somebody's going to, that you're getting scammed, and you can just block that buyer. Don't feel bad about blocking a buyer. And once you start operating at scale, you have to balance your risk of you can block every buyer that reports a problem and run the risk that isn't a good buyer who just had an accident happen. But there's just so many variables that you can't control. If somebody is the type of person who puts the wrong address on their order, there is a non-zero chance of that happening to you with that same person again, especially if they follow you around, buy on a different platform. And the worst thing that you can have happen is have the same mistake happen multiple times. So if you deliver, or if you ship something and it doesn't get delivered, or it gets delivered to the wrong address or something, the worst thing that you can have happen is have that happen multiple times with the same person. Sometimes the way to avoid that is you just block people who report that they have had something arrive at the wrong address. And also, there's just a certain thing, and you also want to think, if someone inputs the wrong address and then asks you for a refund because they put in the wrong address, that also says something about the person, where they are unlikely to take accountability for things like that in the future. And it's not your responsibility. It's not really fair to expect a business to take on the cost of a user mistake, of a customer's mistake. So it's different if the business makes the mistake. The business should absolutely own that mistake and issue refunds, correct things. But if the customer makes a mistake, it's not reasonable for the business to have to pay for the customer's mistake. You have to weigh that out for yourself. Obviously, if you have a low number of reviews, you can't really take the risk of pissing somebody off. So you're going to want to be a little bit more forgiving in early stages, and then later on, you can eventually switch to being a little bit more strict with stuff like that. Another thing you can do, while remaining in compliance with the different platforms, most marketplaces now are not going to allow you to include anything that redirects somebody to another platform, to a social media, to anything like that. So my recommendation is to set yourself up with really strong branding. Get yourself a logo. You can just make it in Canva. It's very easy. Make a logo in Canva that's distinctly you. Come up with a brand name that's going to help you stand out and that can grow with you. And then include that brand name and your logo somewhere in your shipments, in your packaging. Put a free sticker in. Get a self-inking stamp that you stamp every packing slip with, or every envelope with. Something that shows people what your brand is called and what your logo looks like, so that it makes it easier for them to find you on other platforms. A certain number of people, if you give them a great experience, they're going to go look for you on social media. They're going to go look for you online. They're going to go look for you on another platform without you even telling them. And the only way that they're going to know what to look for is if you actually include branding inside the packaging. So you're not going to include a website URL or any social media links or anything like that, just what your shop is called and what your logo is. That's totally reasonable. No marketplace is going to tell you that you can't do that, because it helps them too. It's going to make it more likely that they go back to your listings on the marketplace that they bought from, and it's going to make it more likely that they seek you out in other places to follow you and buy from you on other platforms. So find a way to include strong branding assets in your packaging if and when you can, and you can do it affordably, like I said, with stickers or stamps, something like that, where you curate a nice experience, they get a little bonus, and you're making a stronger brand impression as opposed to just having your TCGplayer marketplace handle that sometimes is completely unintelligible and hard for someone to find. You can also suggest that people bookmark your store. That's going to help them increase repeat visits and so on. And so these are all things that you can do to manage these two types of risk, the risk of losing money and the risk of not making money. So to kind of recap everything here, you are guaranteed to lose money just by being alive. You offset that by decreasing your risk of not making money. And how you do that is you acquire knowledge, skills, and inventory that give you opportunities that you can take to a marketplace where people can give you money in exchange for those knowledge, skills, or that inventory. You can do this with a job, or of course, in what we're talking about, you can do this by building a TCG store or a TCG brand on social media on a platform that allows you to monetize. There are many ways that you can go about this. And then, as you are building it out, you want to offset any risk that you might take on by spending money on acquiring knowledge. So if you pay for courses or you're buying packs to learn about the games and so on, you're outlaying money and time to acquire knowledge and skills and inventory. And then that creates risk of losing money. You offset that by diversifying the skills, knowledge, and inventory that you have, and by building a brand that makes it easy for people to come back to you, so that when you catch someone's attention and make a good impression on them, you then don't have to spend the same amount of time and money catching their attention again to make another impression on them. They can come back on their own, and that saves you money in the long run and makes it more likely that you will sell more stuff, get more views, whatever, blah, 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 blah. So that is the alchemy of business, transmuting risk into opportunity by investing in skills, knowledge, and inventory to build a business. Good luck out there.